Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and today we're getting rid of some books. So I've been in spring cleaning mode and decided that I just needed to get rid of some books, needed to make room for the several books that I have purchased recently. I went through and picked out 26 books that I am getting rid of, and today I will bring them to half price books or something similar. My original plan was to film and post this video and then wait to see if anyone was like, no, you can't get rid of this book or whatever, but at this point I don't feel super attached to any of these books and I'm ready to get them out of my life, so let's dive into the list. So I've got 3 stacks laid out. One of them is all books I've read before, but I just don't feel like I need to keep for any reason. And they're not ones that I feel like I really want to reread or want to loan out to friends, because I do like keeping books that I've really loved so that I can share them with other people. But these, I don't really feel that way about any of them, so let's just go into it. First up, we have Wonder by R.J. Palacio, and I really did like this book. I thought it was very cute, but I didn't love it. It's not one that I'm ever going to read again, probably. So hopefully this gets into some deserving hands and, you know, a younger person who is gonna really enjoy it. Next is a more recent read, and that is The English Wife by Lauren Willig. This one was like 3 stars for me. It was kind of boring. I thought the ending was a huge cop-out. It's a gorgeous book, and some of it was good, but meh. The next one is one that I sort of ranted about in my February wrap-up, March wrap-up, somewhere in there. First Women, The Grace and Power of America's Modern First Ladies by Kate Anderson Brower. This is just not what I was expecting. A little bit gossipy, and the only points that were made was that the women would basically do anything for their husbands, and yeah, of course, especially if you're married to the president. Duh. I just want to read more nonfiction, and I feel like first ladies are really interesting women and they play a really cool role in our society, so I do want to learn more, just not from this book. The next one I just didn't get. I've read it and I think it totally went over my head because I know some people really love it, but that is The Vegetarian by Han Kang. Yeah, I just didn't get it, I guess, and I'm okay with that. It was very out there. It was very quick, but I don't get it. Next book is Summer House with Swimming Pool by Herman Koch, and this was pretty good. It's sort of a mystery. I want to say kind of murder mystery-ish. I mean, I don't really even remember that much about it, so I don't feel like I need to keep it. Next up, I have The Vacationers by Emma Straub. I felt like nothing really happened, and it was just a lot of drama that was never really concluded or in any way satisfying. This one might be a little bit surprising. I read it recently and I did really like it. City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This is book 1 in the Mortal Instruments series and the very start of the Shadowhunters Chronicles. And I did really like this and I want to continue with the series. However, I hate this cover. I hate that it's weirdly shiny. I don't know if you can see that. I also don't know if it's a series that I feel like I need to invest in and have my own copies of. If I someday do feel that way, then I'll buy a new City of Bones. That's fine. I think I got this for like $5 at half price books, so it's going back. Okay, the last for the books that I have read is, actually I haven't finished this, but it's the Matched Trilogy by Ali Kandi. I have read the first 2 books in the series. The first book I really liked. I think I gave it 5 stars, and I thought it was a really interesting dystopian, utopian society, and I thought it had a lot of promise. But the second book was so boring. I just felt like nothing happened. And I've reached the final book in the trilogy for a really long time, and I just don't feel any desire to pick it up at this point. I don't want to keep it on my shelf just for in case someday I want to read it. Either way, I don't want to own the series. So, okay, similar to City of Bones, I have a couple books that I'm getting rid of just because I don't like the editions that I have. It's actually 2 Jane Austen books, Persuasion and Emma. I do really want to read Jane Austen, and if you watched my 2018 bucket list, my first ever YouTube video, I mentioned Emma as a classic that I really want to check off my list. Same with Persuasion. I have a friend who told me that this is probably the one that she thought I would like most. I think it's her favorite. I also feel like if I had prettier copies of them, I would be more inclined to read them. This one is just, I think, kind of ugly. I don't know why I picked it up. Whatever. This one's beautiful. I might keep it just because I feel bad getting rid of it. But the pages are super thin and the words are really tiny. There are some really gorgeous editions of Jane Austen's books that I kind of want to buy. And last time I was at Half Price Books, there was a gorgeous set of all 6 of her most popular novels for like 20 bucks, and they were really colorful, and so maybe it'll be there when I go back today. Couple of books that I had for school/work. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I cannot for the life of me remember why I decided to bring this from Maine to Minnesota when I moved 3 summers ago. Oh my gosh, that's insane. I don't know why I brought this. Maybe I was like, oh, it'll look cool on a shelf in an office somewhere. I had a cubicle for the first 2 years that I was out of college, so I wasn't displaying this anywhere. And then I have A Hope in the Unseen by Ron Suskind. This is a really good book. I highly recommend it, especially if you work with high school students or if you work with students who are from historically underrepresented groups. I think it's very intriguing. I work in college admissions and I worked as a college advisor for 2 years with historically underrepresented students. So it was definitely useful. I actually also read it in college for one of my courses and then had to read it again for the AmeriCorps program that I did. I think it's worth picking up. I have 2 copies because I have one from when I read it in college, and then I got another copy of it for AmeriCorps, so I don't need 2. The rest of the books are all unread and just I picked them up and my tastes have changed since, or they just no longer sound all that intriguing, or I picked them up on a whim and I never really cared about them. I have 2 John Grisham books. If you remember my unread books video, I have a total of 4 John Grisham novels, but neither of these sounded all that intriguing. The other 2 sounded much more interesting and up my alley, so getting rid of these 2. The First Call from Heaven by Mitch Albom. I picked this up in an airport when I didn't have a book to read, and then I didn't read it on the plane. I think this is one that I got at a little free library, or maybe Adam picked it up, but neither of us are interested in it anymore. Dress Your Family in Corduroy and Denim by David Sedaris. This is one that I feel a little sad about getting rid of. The Cider House Rules by John Irving. This I want to read for a couple of reasons. I really liked The Prayer for Owen Meany, which I read in high school, also by John Irving. This also takes place in Maine, and as I mentioned, I originally grew up in Maine, and I like reading books set in my home state because there are very few that are, but I've tried a couple times and just haven't gotten into it. Yeah, see, I got 28 pages in. It's long, the margins are tiny, the words are really small, and I just... Not at this point in my life. Okay, next up, May We Be Forgiven by A.M. Holmes. I picked this up, I think, from like a sale rack at Barnes & Noble. It sounded intriguing. I agree still that it sounds kind of like an interesting book, but it's like a family drama or something to that effect, and there are other family dramas that I'm more interested in reading sooner. Then I have The Sweetheart Deal by Polly Dugan. I still don't know how to say her name. But this one just sounds... I don't know, it sounds interesting, sort of, but it's not one that I feel like, oh yes, I definitely want to read it, so getting rid of it. The next 3 I bought all at the same time, I think, when I was really into like historical fiction retellings and that sort of thing, which I do enjoy, but none of these have ever really called out to me. First up is Ophelia by Lisa Klein. This is a retelling of Shakespeare's Hamlet, but from Ophelia's point of view. Then I have The Boleyn King by Laura Anderson. This is a fictional account of sort of like what if Anne Boleyn had had a son. And then the last one in that grouping of historical fiction is The Constant Princess by Philippa Gregory. This is about Catherine of Aragon, who was betrothed to Prince Arthur of England, but then he died, and so instead she married his brother and became queen. But she really loved Arthur or something. I don't know. This is the author of The Other Boleyn Girl, which I haven't read. And if I'm going to read a Philippa Gregory book, I think I'm probably going to read The Other Boleyn Girl over this. The last 2 are books that I got in some sort of book subscription service that I signed up for at one point. And neither of them are really calling out to me. One is science fiction, and it is called The Spark, and I just can't. The cover, I can't do it. I don't care what it's about, I can't. And the other is The Woman Who Couldn't Scream by Christina Dodd. This is a murder mystery or something like that That sounds vaguely intriguing to me, but none of the reviews or like summaries made me any more excited to read it. I do love a good mystery thriller book, but there are others that are on my TBR ahead of this one, so yeah, see ya. Alright, that is everything for this video. Those are the 26 books that I am getting rid of, and I hope they all find better homes and readers that love them. I feel like I was able to really do a good clear out. My shelves are reorganized, and reorganizing my bookshelves is like one of my favorite activities. It's super stressful in the moment, and then I just feel so good. So that is everything for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I enjoyed making it. If you want to keep the conversation going, please leave me a comment down below, or you can find the links to all of my social media accounts in the description box. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you know when my next video is posted. But until then, happy reading. Bye.